You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rodriguez for Black and White Live. Oh, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson because he has said some things. And, of course, the media is losing their minds over this. Lamar Jackson, star quarterback, Baltimore Ravens, who recently got over COVID-19 twice. Twice. And he has come out and he has made some statements. And I promise you, it's going to trigger some people. We've said on this channel, hey, if you want to get the shot, get the shot. If you don't, okay, that's fine too. And we believe it's your personal freedom. We don't believe that workplaces and sports organizations should get involved in this. Well, let's get to this. Lamar Jackson still unsure about vaccine, despite, quote, being heartbroken over catching COVID twice. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson recently returned to training camp after being infected with COVID-19 for a second time in the past 8 months. It should be noted how differently the media covered this than they covered Kirk Cousins. The media crucified Cousins. They didn't exactly do that with Lamar Jackson. I don't know why, but you can certainly speculate as to why in the day and times that we are in right now. It's interesting. It seems to me both quarterbacks should be covered the same, but they have not been. Asked about his reaction after learning he tested positive for COVID again last month, Jackson said he was, quote, heartbroken. It was like, not again, not right now, Jackson added. Despite being frustrated over testing positive for the virus twice, Jackson remains unsure about getting vaccinated. Quote, I just got off the COVID list, Jackson said on Monday about the possibility of getting vaccinated in an effort to avoid testing positive for COVID for a third time. He says, I got to talk to my team about this and see how I feel about it. Keep learning as much as I can about it, and we'll go from there. Asked again if that means he's considering getting vaccinated, Jackson was non-committal. Quote, we'll see. The Ravens star quarterback said, talking to doctors, we'll see. Nearly 90% of NFL players are reportedly vaccinated. I've got my doubts about those numbers, but okay. With the league attempting to incentivize getting the jab by enforcing strict protocols on those that remain unvaccinated. I don't agree with that route either. I don't think they should coerce these players into getting vaccinated. Jimmy Graham came out the other day and said he felt lied to, felt like he was forced to get the jab. Okay, a lot of these players got the jab because the protocols were supposed to lighten up, and now they have found out they're going to increase testing on vaccinated players, and some of the players are mad about that. Even Maryland GOP Governor Larry Hogan urged Jackson to get vaccinated last week, citing the strict rules and penalties being imposed by the NFL. In addition to social distancing protocols and travel restrictions, the NFL also consider game and paycheck forfeits if a team outbreak occurs among unvaccinated players, except I can tell you right now, the NFLPA came out with a strong stance. I did a video on it, came out with a strong stance last week and said, no, the NFL will not forfeit games. The players will not have to forfeit salary, and there's a simple reason behind that. It's called money. They are not going to call off games and get rid of those games completely and then take away salaries because the NFL and these owners stand to make a boat ton of money off the games having been played, having been gone through with, because we know fans are being allowed in the stadiums now. Well, what does that tell you right there, right? They're going to want to make their money, and the NFLPA has already called their bluff. Okay, now this has been the source of controversy, and you know, the reason why this is truly a story going into the season is because of the competitive imbalance in which it can cause, right? If a player tests positive, if he's out of the game, the way it may shift a team. Remember the game last year, and I got to be real with you. I was absolutely livid with the way the NFL chose to handle this game. The Denver Broncos quarterback room tested positive. All of them, okay? Essentially, the Denver Broncos did not have a quarterback. And the NFL come out and took a hardline stance that they were not going to postpone the game or move it. Okay, and I was livid because they had already moved games around to Tuesday, around to Monday. In other words, a game was scheduled to be played on Thursday. They moved it around to Monday. Game was scheduled to be played on Sunday. They moved it to Tuesday. I mean, they jumped through major hoops to move games around. Except this one game. They refused to do it because they said, well, they were all in the same room together. And they would not remove it if, like, in other words, they said they would move games if there was 5 different players on the team that tested positive in different positions. But because it was all quarterbacks, they didn't want to move the game. Well, it left the Denver Broncos in a terrible position, and they ended up playing an undrafted wide receiver at quarterback that had played a minute bit of quarterback in college, but he had already long since changed positions. And, of course, he went out there and he got completely ran over in the NFL because he doesn't play quarterback anymore. He hadn't played quarterback in years. Terrible move by the NFL. It was really unfair that they did that to the Broncos and they wouldn't move that game around because, in fact, I remember if the game had been moved to Monday night and they would have done a doubleheader, all their quarterbacks would have been back. Or Tuesday night, all their quarterbacks would have been back. It was wildly, in my opinion, unfair for the NFL to move some games but not other games. Come on, just move them all. If you got the ability to do that, move them all. Better yet, just let the damn players play. I mean, that's not that hard. But it's funny. Now you're starting to see a minute bit of scrutiny on Lamar Jackson because he's saying, well, you know, this makes it look really hard on the league because now a star quarterback is coming out and saying, well, you know what? I've had it twice, and I'm still not sold that I want to go through with this. It's his body and his choice, okay? We support him on that decision. But if he turns around and chooses to get the jab, that's fine too. Okay, there's nothing, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's his business. I've got no dog in that fight, right? So this is crazy. They're going to start losing their mind over the fact that Lamar Jackson won't. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's not quite sure still if he's ready to make that decision. Ryan Tannehill kind of said, you know, I feel like they sort of forced me into this. Tell me what you think, black and white sports fans. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Some of the rules that the NFL has set up. Peace. I'm out.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.